Oh shit! I gotta take my do rag off. Me, this shit gotta go. I got chopped recently. Well, not recently. Honestly, it's been a couple days since then. But man, man, YouTube, what it do, man? It's been a little while. Sorry for the little hiatus, man. Life just be life in me a lot of times, and I have to go on my little hiatuses. Just y'all know, I'm in the military, so when they call, I answer. Um, but it's been a long time coming for this. I know a lot of Knicks fans have been waiting for me to talk about what happened in the NBA Finals. Excuse me. And for me to hold myself accountable. You know, my last video was actually titled, "We Need to Hold Wemby Accountable." Today is the day that we hold Young Mustard accountable. And sorry, got something planned. Today's the day we got to hold Young Mustard accountable. And all the things I've said about the Knicks and their fans and, you know, just everything that's happened over the last couple of years, because at some point, you know, I gotta practice what I preach. And I haven't been doing that. At least, my bad. I do that. Don't get that twisted. But at some point, I gotta, you know, hold myself to the standard that I hold others to. Sorry, y'all. I'm reading some stuff real quick while I'm streaming. But what's going on, YouTube? Your boy Mustard is back. Got another video. And today I'm here to hold myself, like I said earlier, accountable for the New York Knicks and them proving me wrong every step of the way in these playoffs. Like literally every game, every series. I mean, except the Hawks. I did not think they'd lose to the Hawks. I didn't think they'd lose to Philly either. But it's time for me to put myself on the stand and be real about the fuck is this? Sorry. It's time for me to be real about the fact that the New York Knicks are NBA champions, and that is something that I try to deny every step of the way almost throughout this whole postseason, or act like it wouldn't happen. And at some point, I got to look at what the Knicks have done in these playoffs and say this is an all-time playoff run. Whether you want to think that the East was child's play or not, it really doesn't matter when they get to the NBA Finals and do in the NBA Finals what they've been doing to every other team, and that's win in comfortable fashion. I mean, sure, you could sit there and say that, man, the Knicks, you know, it was still close games. They didn't blow the Spurs out the way they blew out the Cavs and made them quit, or the way that they blew out the Hawks after game 3, or the way that they fucked up the Sixers when they had Tyrese Maxey first option hoops on the other side. It really doesn't matter, because at some point you got to look at how dominant the run was. These are still professional basketball players. These are still playoff teams, and they ran through all of them and didn't really have, I don't want to say didn't have a tough time, but if you look at the fact that it was like 2 months that they didn't lose a game, they get to the finals, and even when they're down double digits, the game never felt out of reach. When the Spurs were up 29 in game 4, I sat there and I was like, well, it's not over. I told myself, I was like, it can't be over. These niggas always find ways to come back. And even if the Spurs win, the Knicks will come back and still make this a competitive game. And I remember even thinking to myself, because the Knicks fans were quiet. I think that was the second game in MSG. They were quiet for a lot of it. And I was just like, man, they gonna get rowdy at some point in this series, at some point in this game, excuse me. But yeah, let's talk about it. I'm gonna play a couple of videos for you guys of things I've said about the Knicks in the past. And it's time for me to face the music, as they say. So this is a video I made a couple years ago about the Knicks. This is, I think, the offseason that they got Jalen Brunson. I had a video titled "Why the Knicks Are the Most Mediocre Team in the NBA." This was September 2022, right? They got Brunson 2022, right after the Mavs. Yeah, right after the Mavs made the Western Conference Finals, and they lost to the Warriors. And I made this video, so we're gonna watch it and hear some of the things I had to say. Time to re-up YouTube. We're back with the season preview. My last one, we talked about the Pistons coming in at number 24. Shout out to that man Kobe. But in this video, we're gonna have the Jordan number, or you could say the LeBron number 23. And of course, we got the New York Knicks, who are, man, by the way, I hate that I had to sound so formal in my old videos. I didn't have to, but shit, boring as fuck. My God. Are still trash. At the time of this recording, I really don't know what to title it, so I might as well just title it "The Knicks Still Suck." This is a team that consistently I have dogged on year in and year out because they make moves that I gotta dog on year in and year out. We're talking about an embarrassment of a franchise. And now, let me also say this. In all transparency, Knicks fans, y'all gotta be real with yourselves. When you're holding people accountable for certain takes, it's fair to say, or for people to say in response to being held accountable, that opinions can change with new information. And at that time, the Knicks were a mediocre franchise. Like, let's not forget, I think this was an offseason removed from when they went to go sign Bobby Portis and Julius Randle in the offseason and some other big I can't remember. They signed like 4 power forwards in one offseason. So, I mean, the Knicks were a mediocre franchise, if not just a bad franchise for a long, long time, right? I mean, they had one playoff win since the Carmelo Anthony era. You feel me? What's up? Mama's home. Okay. Give me a second, girls. I'm streaming. Just tripping. But regardless, I lost my train of thought. Regardless, you guys, I gotta say, the Knicks, y'all gotta be real about the history of y'all franchise. That's what makes this championship so great. You guys went through years of mediocrity and just pain and sorrow with playoff exits that were just trifling. I ain't gonna lie. Whether it's getting stomped out by Trae Young to the point that Trae Young is still a villain there, and he's not even in Atlanta anymore. Man's in Washington, and hey, at this rate, he may not be in Washington too long, for all we know. But let's keep going. The saddest part about all of it is that they have a fan base that is dying for good basketball in their city, but it's unfortunately across the bay in Brooklyn, not in New York City. And by the way, man, Brooklyn missed, and this is something I also want to say about the Nets in relation to the Knicks. This is one of the worst case scenarios for the Nets. The Nets have had over 50, well, I guess not over 50 years because they're a relatively new team, but they've had over a decade time to really establish a core fan base and win something of significance there. And they haven't. I mean, if you want to go to the New Jersey Nets years when they made the finals back-to-back years with Jason Kidd, have at it. That's fine. That was coming off right off the Patrick Ewing era. But since then, I mean, you go out there, you get Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, Jason Terry. You think you're building this big four, right? Joe Johnson there, all of that. Darren Williams. They had like a season or two where they were decent. Then they fall into mediocrity and all that shit with Brook Lopez for a couple years, right? And then you transition to getting Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving years later down the road. And that was their time, right? Around this time is when they did have KD and Kyrie. This was, I want to say this was after actually they got swept. But regardless, like KD and Kyrie were still on the roster. So if you're the Nets, this missed opportunity is something that really hits hard now when the Knicks win the championship, because you're looking at a New York Knicks team that struggled for decades just to get to the finals. for so long just to make the Eastern Conference Finals. You had KD, Kyrie, and James Harden at one point, and you blow it all up. You lose everything. Don't even make an Eastern Conference Finals appearance. The Knicks won a championship after 54 years, and you guys couldn't make a conference finals once after Jason Kidd left. It's tough. All those New York Knicks fans, or excuse me, New Yorkers, they all New York Knicks fans. And it's never going to change. Brooklyn will never win over that city. And if I'm Adam Silver, get them out of Brooklyn. There's no need for a team in New York when we got cities like Seattle that could have an NBA team. Hell, I don't even mind if they move them to Vegas. Call them the Vegas Nets. I don't give a fuck. Get them out of Brooklyn, man. There's no need to put Brooklyn in New York anymore. They have no fans. All their games are away games. It really doesn't matter. Man.
Trust me, Brooklyn is not some amazing team. They got their own issues, but at least they can say that they're a playoff team, unlike the Knicks, who are spending over $300 million to form a big three, quote unquote, of Julius Randle, Jalen Brunson, and RJ Barrett next.
Now, I will say, Julius Randle and RJ Barrett, come on now. They stink. They stink. Julius Randle is one of the worst playoff performers in the history of basketball. So we can admit on that, right? I mean, they stink. Plain and simple. They stink. RJ Barrett's not even on the damn team anymore. I don't got to go through this. I ain't going to lie. Like, I hate watching my old videos. They're just, I don't like them. I don't like them. It's a fucking snooze fest. But bottom line, y'all see I was wrong. I was wrong about the Knicks. And Jalen Brunson has proven to be one of the best guards in the fucking league. Someone said, where's Gobels and Bino? Remember them trolling the Knicks fans on the pod? They need to make an apology video. I promise you, Gobels will not make an apology video. If you're waiting for Gobels to make an apology video, nigga, it's just not going to happen. It's not going to fucking happen. So you got to let that shit go. But let's talk about what the Knicks specifically did in these finals, because I think a lot of people are talking about just Jalen Brunson and Becky Hammon, and we'll get to that, trust me. But when I look at what the Knicks did in these finals, I think what they've established is, yes, their two best players are not defensively oriented and at times have been defensive liabilities in their career. But Karl-Anthony Towns, big props to him. He showed a lot of effort defensively. I really think Karl-Anthony Towns in New York this season has really been what he was projected to be coming out of college, like a legitimate playmaker, you know, someone you can run the offense through as a hub, whether in two-man game, at the top of the key, finding guys like cutting to the rim, anything like that. He's a really good playmaker for someone at that position. And it's really a cheat code against a lot of teams in the league, especially against a team like San Antonio, where they don't really have a secondary rim protector or a secondary help guy that can come in the back line, whenever Wemby's out the paint. And I think that when I look at what the Knicks have done with Karl-Anthony Towns, I think he was the real key to unlocking this next level offense for the Knicks, because if you look at their roster, they didn't make like major changes this year to last year outside of the coaching. And the way Mike Brown used Karl-Anthony Towns and fed into the strengths that a lot of teams in the past just didn't really tap into that well. Like a lot of those Minnesota years, they didn't really tap into his playmaking as much as I thought they should have. And I think that's been a huge W. And also defensively, Karl-Anthony Towns has shown a lot of, effort over the last couple months. You know, he's put in work and made up for the fact that his scoring production is going to dip. But I'm going to give you some playmaking value, and I'm going to be a really solid defender because he's been good. You can't say the Knicks defense has been this great and act like the rim protection that Karl-Anthony Towns has shown has not been a huge factor. It has been a huge factor. And then I'm going to get to Brunson in a minute. But when you have a guard like Brunson and a big like Cat, you got to fill it out with great wings. Mikal Bridges, I seen him saying, fuck them picks. And he's right. Me and plenty of other people looked at that trade and said, how you going to trade all them picks for Mikal Bridges? Mikal Bridges is not a star. Mikal Bridges is a good starter, durable. Yeah, he never missed a game in his whole career. But at the end of the day, Mikal Bridges on a championship team is a 15-point per game score, solid 3-and-D wing. But one, I think we undersold how good Mikal Bridges was. I'm not saying he's worth all those picks, like just as an individual player. Now, it was worth it for the Knicks, but he wasn't worth it as an individual player. But Mikal is so slept on when it comes to his impact on the game, because defensively, he is not what he was, 4 or 5 years ago in Phoenix. But I think that when you look at Mikal's game, he's still a good defender. He's still versatile. He can guard the 1 through 3, sometimes the 4, right, in this undersized league. But on top of his defensive ability and his flexibility on that side of the ball, offensively, he's really green from like all 3 levels. I mean, he's not going to get to the rim consistently or anything, but he can get to the mid-range, get to some nice spots. I mean, there was a game, I think in game 3 or 4, where Mikal was like 7 of 7 to start the game. Knocked down 4 straight threes, knocked down 3 mid-range jumpers in a row. Like, he's efficient, and he's good at attacking closeouts. He's good at pushing the pace at times. He's good at getting to spots. He's like, he could be your third guy on a championship team. And at times in this playoff run, he was their third guy. And that's something about the Knicks that they've built their team on is, yes, Brunson's their guy, but they have about 3-4 guys that can have a hot night and give you 20 or even on some nights 30, which leads into OG Anunoby, who up until game 5, I thought had a legitimate valid case to be the finals MVP. Not just because he was having crazy shooting games and scoring games, but defensively, he was giving Wemby problems. OG is one of the most flexible defenders in the league. He's one of the best in the league. And he's been like that over the last handful of seasons since he was drafted. I mean, I remember going back to his draft, I think in 2018, I said this guy is going to be one of the steals of the draft. Coming out of college, he had a lot of flexibility defensively. He could shoot the 3 ball. And on top of that, we're in a day and age where 3-and-D players, there really aren't as many as people think, because a lot of these 3-and-D guys aren't really being guarded out there. But OG Anunoby's a legitimate shooter. And on top of that, he's developed as an on-ball creator, whether it's attacking closeouts, attacking one-on-one possessions, because yes, he isn't getting double because Jalen Brunson is getting all that attention. Karl-Anthony Towns is getting some attention as well. But he be hitting some of the craziest hand and face shots I've ever seen. He did that throughout this whole finals, throughout this whole playoff run, and he put up numbers that were ridiculous. If you go and look at his efficiency throughout these playoffs, he was insane. I gotta give OG his props, not only because he's Nigerian like me, salute, and happy Juneteenth, everybody, happy Juneteenth. But not only that, but he's also developed and he's found the perfect role in New York. I mean, the nights that Jalen Brunson's not hot or Karl-Anthony Towns is struggling, OG Anunoby's right there knocking some of the craziest jumpers down. And even in this series, he was using his strength not only to bully Wemby defensively, but offensively as well. I mean, there were so many plays where he was just giving Wemby like a little elbow or a little forearm, getting past him, because OG's stronger than Wemby. At least he can bully his core strength and everything like that. And he got to the rim on him on numerous occasions. OG did that. And obviously the tip in game 4 that won them the game. I mean, he had a legitimate case to be the finals MVP until Jalen Brunson just took that shit away in game 5. Shout out to JB, which leads into Jalen Brunson. Actually, before I get to Brunson, let's talk about Mike Brown. Mike Brown, a lot of people are running with a lot of narratives with Mike Brown, saying that LeBron got him fired and things like that. I'm not going to really get into the LeBron aspect of it, but Mike Brown, he's had an interesting career, right? He starts off in Cleveland, leads them to one of the best defenses in the league, ends up getting fired. They bring him back later on. He ends up getting fired again because of a tough season before LeBron gets there. He's in LA. He ends up getting fired there as well. And mind you, in a lot of these places, he was making progress with these teams, whether leading them to top seeds, anchoring down top defenses. And then he goes to Sacramento he goes to Golden State first. Golden State learns under Steve Kerr, obviously, takes some things from that offense and then brings it to Sacramento as the head coach. Now, that in Sacramento, that was his, fourth time as a head coach? And he led them to their first playoff appearance since like the Chris Webber years. All those years that they had, DeMarcus Cousins, no playoff appearances, not even close, really. And now they get De'Aaron Fox, Sabonis, all these okay players, solid players. And I'm not going to downplay De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox was on one that season. He was the clutch player of the year. Shout out to him. Sabonis had his best year yet. Shout out to him. Keegan Murray had a really good rookie season. Shout out to him. Kevin Huerter, he was really good. That was probably, that was his best season, I'm pretty sure, in Sacramento. So we did a good job in Sacramento, leading them to, I think, historically speaking, like by the numbers and offensive rating, the best offense of all time, even though that number is going to get broken over and over with the offensive rating shit. But they were an elite offense. So he took what he learned in Golden State, applied that to Sacramento, using Sabonis DHOs and shit like that. And they were the best offense in the league. And sure, they did lose in the first round to the 6th seed as the 3 seed in 7 games, but it's the Golden State Warriors. Steph Curry dropped 50 in game 7, and Sabonis, at the end of the day, I think that was more on him and De'Aaron Fox not showing up. And De'Aaron Fox, the less said about that terrorist, the better. But point being, Mike Brown really showed everybody, and I mean everybody, in multiple spots that he can be that guy at that head coach position, and he kept getting fired. And we could talk about race being a key factor because there's numerous white coaches that I don't think would have got fired if they put up the performances that, or at least had the resume that Mike Brown had in a lot of these spots. But, I ain't going to get into the race aspect. Happy Juneteenth again, everybody. But regardless, he then goes to New York and replaces Tom Thibodeau. And in one season, he's remodeled the offense, run the offense through Cat a little more, brought in, like I said, some of that shit from Golden State. And he's led this team, or not led, let me not say that because the players got to play. I always say coaches put players in positions to succeed, but the players got to go out there and make it work themselves. Because a lot of shit on the court happens on the fly, and you got to just adjust. A lot of plays break down, shit like that. But he did a great job of utilizing that bench, trusting a lot of guys. If Tom Thibodeau's there, he's not playing Jose Alvarado. He's not playing Jordan Clarkson, which leads into him dropping 10 points in a game 4, a crucial game 4, in order to give them the 3-1 lead. He's not playing Deuce as many. Well, I guess Deuce was getting some minutes, but he's not giving these opportunities on the bench to a lot of these guys. Because Thibs just ain't like that. He don't like to play his bench guys. And you talk about guys being sick. Tom Thibodeau got to be sick right now. Not enough people even talk about how Tom Thibodeau got to be crying somewhere right now. But point being, Mike Brown, salute to him. He's really cemented himself as somebody that he's going to make the Hall of Fame. I mean, the man led the Knicks to their first championship in over 50 years. It's New York. Everything's magnified there. He's been coach of the year multiple times. And on top of that, now he's a champion. He's easily going to be a Hall of Famer. And even if he ends up leaving the Knicks, he's going to have a job for life in the NBA as long as he wants it. Especially with motherfuckers like Doc Rivers still getting NBA jobs. He'll definitely be an NBA coach for life. But then that brings us to Jalen Brunson, right? The man of the hour in New York. Jalen Brunson. What can I say about Jalen Brunson that hasn't already been said? I mean, I doubted Jalen Brunson leading this team to a championship. We'll get into the Becky Hammon stuff in a second. But Jalen Brunson is somebody that I personally do believe he's the most clutch player in basketball. I really, really don't think that's close. Sure, you could say you'd rather have other guys for a whole series or a game, do or die, whatever. But when it is the last 5 minutes in the game, or 3, 4, whatever minutes in the game, there is nobody in the league that you want to close out the game and get you buckets than Jalen Brunson. I mean, his clutch stats, it don't even make any sense. Because with this Knicks team and how well structured it is and how they utilize the bench and how they utilize their offense, and they're not so Brunson dependent for the first 3 quarters, Literally all they have to do is stay within 10 to 15 points, sometimes even more than that. And in the fourth quarter, Brunson takes them home. He literally walks teams down. And he's a 3-level scorer. He gets to the paint. He can finish at the rim. He can score in the mid-range. He got a little post game, got some footwork to him. He's crafty at the rim when he finishes. And on top of that, he can shoot the three. He can get to the free throw line, knock those down efficiently. He's an efficient scorer on all levels. Now, is he the perfect player? Obviously, he's got his defensive weaknesses that really have to do with his size, lack of effort at times as well. I'm not denying that. But when he has a team like this with versatile wings like Mikal, Josh Hart, I didn't even talk about Josh Hart, but shout out to him. Black sister as well. Happy Juneteenth. But Josh Hart, Mikal, OG Anunoby, guys that can not only get their own bucket, but have defensive versatility. Karl Anthony Towns, who can space the floor and free up that paint for Jalen Brunson to attack consistently over and over again. He's in the perfect situation. And we just saw how that manifested with them winning a championship in dominant fashion. He is easily a top 10 player in the league. He's in the conversation. I'm not putting him there. We'll get into some of the things that people have been saying about Brunson lately, because I ain't gonna lie, it has been getting real nasty. It has been getting real nasty. I ain't gonna hold you. But regardless, I think he's a top 10 player. I think he's a superstar. He's a superstar. To me, a superstar is somebody that could be the best player on a championship team. It's not even debatable anymore. He is the best player on this team. And he did it in superstar fashion, almost dropping 50 in a closeout game. I think he dropped, 45? Shout out to Brunson, man. He proved me wrong. He proved numerous people wrong. He is one of the few players that can say, I'm a small guard that won a championship, and they could go back to back. I don't think they will, but they could. They could. They absolutely could. The Knicks are contenders going forward as long as they got this core intact and they're all playing at high levels. Because maybe next year, if they win the championship, it's Karl Anthony Towns. Maybe OG Anunoby finishes the job and balls out in another game 4, and plays well throughout a whole final series. I mean, with the way this team is structured, if you got 3 guys that in any series could be the best player in dominant fashion, I don't know if this might damn near be a big 3. Shit. I'm telling y'all, the Knicks, they proved me wrong. But while we're talking about proving people wrong, that leads into what's happening right now on Twitter with Becky Hammon. Becky Hammon, for those who don't know, had a take about Jalen Brunson. And I honestly thought it was a regular take, but I guess people really just killed her for it. And let me find it. She apologized. I'm saying this should say apology. So here is Becky Hammon's take about Jalen Brunson. I'm trying to find it. Here it is right here. Sean said dumbass take. I don't think this was a dumb take.
Your best player is small. You're not winning. John Stockton, Allen Iverson, Steve Nash. You could go down the list. Steph Curry is the only.
But he's not that small. He's not that small.
If your best player.
You know, the one thing though about that take, she forgot Isaiah Thomas. I do think Isaiah Thomas was the best player on his team. Now, it was debatable between him and Joe Dumars, but I do think he was the best player on that team. But that was the take, right? And I don't even think that's a crazy take. She brought up evidence. She brought up evidence of John Stockton, and he wasn't even the best player. I don't even know why she mentioned him. Allen Iverson, Steve Nash. Those are players that, in my opinion, are better players than Jalen Brunson. Sorry, Knicks fans, but it's just the truth. I think Allen Iverson is better than Jalen Brunson. I think Steve Nash was better than Jalen Brunson. Those guys, in Iverson's case, he didn't have the offensive supporting cast, but Steve Nash had more than enough opportunities to win a championship. A lot of it, you can always point out things in their game that led to them not winning. Steve Nash, his defense. He was a horrendous defender. Allen Iverson, his defense as well, even though I think Iverson showed more effort than guys like Steve Nash did. But Iverson, I think a lot of that, maybe you could point up his shot selection. I honestly think Iverson's case was the team. Those Philly teams were not great offensive teams, though defensively they helped a lot for him. But they were capped. They had a clear ceiling because of their offensive inabilities and things like that. But this take was not that crazy. But regardless, she was wrong. She was wrong about Brunson. Brunson ended up winning a championship. And power to Jalen Brunson. He proved her wrong. But I'm seeing motherfuckers now go online and let me find it. Kenyon Martin had a take. And I thought this was insanely disrespectful. Insanely disrespectful. But I'm going to play it.
Small guard couldn't be the man to get a chip.
First and foremost, why would he pay attention to anything Becky Hammon has to say? Let's start there, right? Let her stick on that side of the basketball.
Let her stick on that side of basketball. Interesting. What side, Kenyon? Just say, let her stick to women's hoops. Just say that. Let her stick on that side of basketball. When niggas say shit like that, do y'all think that y'all getting off some like solid point or something like that? That's insulting. That's beyond insulting. And I'm just flat out saying that was a sexist ass line. That side of basketball. Nigga, you mean basketball? Would he tell Asia Wilson, stick on that side of basketball? Don't talk about the NBA? I ain't never heard him say that shit about Shanae. I ain't never heard him say that shit about, Dawn Staley or whoever. Stick on that side of basketball. Nigga, basketball is basketball. It's a different league. Yes, they play the game a little differently, obviously, because they're women. But nigga, it's basketball. Would he say that to European players? Would he say that? Stick on that side of basketball. You're not in the NBA. Stick on that side. That shit is insulting. That's disrespectful as fuck.
I'm dead ass. Like, why would he pay attention to anything she has to say? Yeah. Like, who cares what Becky Hammon has to say about Jalen?
She was Pop's first assistant for.
So I don't care. Yeah. I could care less.
I'm glad Skip even said that. I forgot. She was an assistant for Greg Pop. She was in the league. Like, nigga, that shit is insane. I ain't gonna
Don't
lie.
get me started on that, Skip.
Is Greg gonna have to Popovich?
Listen, don't get me started.
Wasn't nice. Yeah, but
Yeah, no.
Here, it's Monday. We kind of want to get you started.
No. Trust me, there are plenty of other people that could have been sitting in that seat. Let's start there. But to Jalen Brunson's,
I will admit though, I don't disagree with him on that point. A couple people probably could have been in that position. I'm not gonna take that away, but at the end of the day, she got that position and she was highly respected among her colleagues, her peers, the players. I don't think there's anything wrong with her being in that position.
credit, kept his eye on the prize, right? Didn't waver, second round pick, was over.
But yeah, that's insane. And the crazy thing is, Becky Hammon, niggas talking about Becky Hammon. I mean, motherfuckers talking about Becky Hammon like she was just a random in her sport. Becky Hammon is one of the greatest guards in WNBA history. For people to sit there and say she should stick to that side of basketball, who do you think you are? I mean, if we're going to reference someone like Kenyon Martin, you were like, what, a 1 or 2 time All-Star? Becky Hammon is a Hall of Fame basketball player. She's one of the greatest players in WNBA history, one of the greatest coaches in WNBA history. And if anybody knows anything about how difficult it is to win as a small guard, is it not Becky Hammon? I mean, I've been hearing a lot of people saying she was hating just because, she was a small guard and she couldn't win. Or is she just speaking from experience in her league being a small guard and not being able to win a championship? I don't understand this ideology also of killing her as if she's the only one to ever have this opinion. Multiple people had this opinion. Not only just her. Multiple people have said things based on the history of the league. Charles Barkley once said he doesn't think a team that shoots 3-pointers can win an NBA championship based on the history of the league. And based on the history of the league, whether it's Allen Iverson, Steve Nash, Damian Lillard, Kemba Walker, Derrick Rose, it's hard for point guards, much less the small guard, to win a championship as the best player. Now, some of that falls on the team construction and some of these teams not really being willing to build the right roster for them. But even in a case like Steve Nash had the adequate pieces to win a championship and just didn't win. He fell short numerous times, whether it was poor play, bad defense, or simply not being good enough. He had those chances to do that. Damian Lillard, those rosters were not great for him. And I'll admit, I think Damian Lillard as a player, if you give him some of these rosters, he could have possibly won a championship. Maybe he could have won if he was on that New York Knicks team. But you know what's something about Damian Lillard? We're talking about the Knicks and how they've come back from all these leads that they've been down and shit. Nigga, Damian Lillard was up double digits in all 4 games of the Western Conference Finals in 2019 against the Golden State Warriors with no Kevin Durant. And he blew those leads in each and every game. And they got swept. This idea that the small guard is now like, it's been abolished, that they can't lead a team to a championship. One, y'all niggas are sounding like y'all are really downplaying Jalen Brunson. Y'all are acting like Jalen Brunson is just any small guard. He's one of the most, actually, scratch that. He's the most clutch player in the league. He's a top 10 player. He was viewed as a top 10 player probably before they ever even won this championship. He's a superstar. Y'all are sounding as if Jalen Brunson is just any kind of small guard. Y'all sound stupid when y'all say this stuff. Jalen Brunson is not anybody. He's not just any kind of small guard. Do I think he's better than Allen Iverson? No. Do I think he's better than Steve Nash? No. But do I think he's better than fucking Kemba Walker? Yes! The fuck are we talking about here? Is he better than Trae Young? Yes! So no, it's not just any small guard you can just throw on these teams. That's not how this shit works just because Brunson wins one championship. Shit is fucking dumb. Because if it was so easy, why is everybody not doing it? Why is everybody not doing it? Donovan Mitchell's right there. And he just made his first Eastern Conference Finals this year just to get swept. And if I sit there and say, like I've said in the past, that he ain't good enough to lead his team to a championship, I mean, I'm pretty sure if that nigga was 6'6", he could do it. But he's not. He's a small guard. It's not a coincidence that all of these small guards couldn't win. It's not. And to a lot of people's credit, a lot of bigs didn't win. A lot of wings didn't win. But they got a lot further than Kemba Walker losing in the first round. Damian Lillard never making an NBA Finals. Donovan Mitchell making his first Eastern Conference Finals appearance in like almost a decade. Steve Nash never made an NBA Finals. Derrick Rose only made the Eastern Conference Finals once, granted injuries and stuff like that. Like, what are we talking about? It's not that simple. It blows my mind how many people sit there and are killing Becky Hammon as if she had some hella unique take and nobody else was saying that. I'm gonna come out and say it. This is just straight up sexist. It's straight up sexist, the shit that you niggas are saying about Becky Hammon and acting like she's a nobody. She can't have an opinion and be wrong. What is all this hostility towards her as if she is... People act like she went on like rants. She had one take. She had one take about Jalen Brunson and said, I just think he's too small. She spoke from experience. She cited history and said there was one exception. She didn't even say it was impossible. She just said only one guy's been able to do it. And she just didn't think Jalen Brunson was as good as somebody like Steph Curry, which he's not. He's not. Which leads into some of the shit that motherfuckers been saying about Jalen Brunson lately. Let me find this shit because a nigga wins one championship and now motherfuckers just start putting him in convos that he don't belong in. He don't belong in. Let me find this shit, bruh. Let Niggas are getting nasty out here. Niggas are getting nasty. What the fuck is this? What the fuck is this? Why is this a graphic? And I'm trying to keep my composure. I'm trying to keep my composure, bro. This should not be a conversation. The real convo you can have is between Shea and Luka, not no motherfucking Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson, for all of his greatness, and I'm not trying to downplay it, he's a great player. But Jalen Brunson is nowhere near the player that SGA and Luka are. He's not a better scorer. He's not a better playmaker. He's not a better defender. There's literally nothing he does better than these two. I don't even understand what even prompted this kind of convo. Nah, this is fucking nuts. It's fucking nuts, the convos that motherfuckers are gonna put Jalen Brunson in. And I even said it. I was like, as long as we agree that Brunson's getting cut, I don't care about the other two. I don't give a shit about that. Man, my goodness. I even seen this shit. Somebody said the last 10 NBA champions ranking. The Warriors, 17 and 18 team, 1 and 2. That's fine. The Celtics, number 3. That's fine. I don't have an issue with that. The Thunder, number 4. I don't have an issue with that. Raptors at 5. I think that's a little too high. The Warriors, a little too high. But I will admit, there's one thing about that Warriors team in 2022. That team did start off hella dominant. I think a lot of people forget. I think they started off like, I want to say like 16-1 or something like that, or 17-2, some shit like that. They start off on like a crazy run. And they're one of the best defensive teams in the league with Draymond missing like half the season. So, that's that. And they even survived the Steph Curry tour. Remember that? That shit was crazy. But I don't think I'd have the Warriors or the Raptors or the fucking Knicks above the 2020 Lakers. That's disrespectful. That's disrespectful. I wouldn't go that far. And the 21 Bucks, the thing about the 21 Bucks that's crazy, because of how they played, I don't have an issue with this ranking. But I do think if Bud was coaching them better and not playing so deep in drop coverage, people will look at them a little bit better. Because if you go and look at that Kevin Durant game KD had, I think game 6 or 5 against the Bucks, where he went crazy and won without Kyrie and Harden. My nigga, go and look at some of them coverages. How does Bud just look at that and say, keep doing it. Keep doing what y'all doing. And then he did the same thing in the next round, and Trey cooked them in game 1. Excuse me. It took until the NBA Finals, I think in game 3, after going down 2-0, for him to make some adjustments and take Brook Lopez off the court and put in Bobby Portis instead. But yeah, some of this shit was crazy. Hey, that's true though. CJ McCollum did have them niggas shook. He did have them niggas shook. But some of the Jalen Brunson takes have been a little wild to me. They've been a little crazy. What the fuck? Get that shit out of here. Why is it all this? Nah, this shit is crazy. I ain't gonna say nothing about his work wife, but that shit was wild. Jalen Brunson had his response. He said there's a lot of people who have opinions. When you prove them wrong, you don't gotta say shit to them. He's right. Bro, why are niggas talking about Jalen Brunson's sex tape? Please, I don't want to run into that shit on the timeline, bro. I highly doubt that's even out there. Niggas just saying, okay, hold on. I think that shit is up there. I don't even want to see that. He said, this don't sound like an apology. I already apologized. You came late, Sean. I apologize. To the Knicks fans, I'm sorry. I doubted you guys every step of the way. Jalen Brunson is way better than I thought he was. And I got to give you guys credit. Y'all built a legitimate championship team. And going forward, I look at you guys as contenders every single year. As long as y'all have this core together, they maintain this high level. And Jalen Brunson keeps being the best clutch player in the league. So I was wrong. And I'm going to go and buy a Jalen Brunson jersey because I owe it to y'all. I said I would do it. And I said I'd go to Player's Choice with that jersey on. And I'll make some videos with that jersey on. So best believe by the end of the month, I will have a Jalen Brunson jersey on going forward for the next, 5 videos or something I said. So I was wrong. Plain and simple. Let me see. But yeah, shout out to those Knicks, man. Shout out to those Knicks. Nigga said that don't sound like an apology. But you better not be talking about that shit I just said. I just gave you an apology, buddy. Just gave y'all what y'all wanted. Y'all got the apology y'all wanted. Y'all want more? Come on now. But let me also say this, because I guess I got to talk about the Spurs and Wemby. I think that there's been a lot of things said about Wemby that are kind of crazy, which, let me pull this shit up. This shit was nuts, what I seen Joe Budden say. And this might be the only time I'll ever talk about Joe Budden on YouTube. And that's not to knock Joe Budden. I watch Joe Budden's podcast. I ain't trying to knock him. But here it is, right here. This might be the only time Joe Budden ever gets brought up on this pod.
In the spirit of competition. I love that. Boy, I love competing. I don't like it when it seems like it's rooted in some other things. Yeah. And that is how Victor Wembanyama, he came off so bad, during the fourth quarter, I started Googling his parents. Seriously. When it was looking so crazy at some point that I was like, I have to see what mom looks like.
Well, you know,
and every time I Googled one of them, it always looked like exactly what the fuck it looked like. And it looked like a dad that boogied, and now you just raised with it. You got some white boy in you. You got some of that European. And then
you know, for the sake of Juneteenth, I'm going to let that slide. I'm going to let that slide.
More European. And then that led me to my experience in France.
French are
notoriously
they don't fuck with
that reminded me.
That's how he comes off.
That's some shit that I blocked out in my mind. That's how much of a horrible time I had out there. Because,
you know, fuck it. I'm going to say something. I think this shit is nasty. And I'm going to tell y'all why it's nasty. Because, one, we're getting off topic as far as the Wemby criticism. Like, this shit is getting nuts. It's getting nuts. Because now we're doing deep dives about France. And if you want to criticize France for certain things, hey, have at it. I'm not going to stop you there. But the way Wemby acted in this series, I definitely think there's some criticisms that you can give him. Whether it's how he addressed the media, how he addressed the Knicks, and how he played them. But we can't sit there and ignore all of the things that led up to a lot of these moments. Because that's something that a lot of Knicks fans are just not doing. If y'all want to hate Wemby, fine. But you can't ignore the things that the Knicks players were doing to Wemby and the things that Wemby had to endure throughout the entire playoffs. Because Wemby wasn't acting like this before the playoffs started. But let's continue.
Because they're able to just recognize an American that's out of place and how they treat you, how they talk to you. They were unwilling to help. Yep. It was a total nightmare for me. Hey, in stark contrast to when I went to Hong Kong, same thing. They know I ain't from here. They know I don't speak that shit. But boy, they was helpful.
Yeah. Sure, you don't have to look too much further than Tony Parker with the Spurs. You don't see him nowhere doing nothing with them the way Manu and Tim and D-Rob and all them are. Yeah, exactly. Sean Elliott. You don't see Tony nowhere.
Mark said
I mean, Tony was, fucking his teammates' wives and shit, so I'm pretty sure he's not well liked. I think that goes beyond being a Frenchman.
A lot of words for Victor just proved himself to be, and he's young. Yeah. So I want to take that into account. Yeah. But you could be young and be a bitch-ass nigga.
Joe is just... This nigga is wild.
Yeah. And he put on a master class in how to be a bitch ass nigga. not by none of the actions in isolation. Because it's a lot of these sports commentators that's coddling him because of America, specifically white America's obsession with anything exotic. So,
I do agree with that, though. I do. Niggas are coddling Wemby. And to be fair, I'm a Wemby supporter. I'm a Wemby fan. Y'all guys know I said that Wemby was the best player in the league before the finals, and I still think he's in that conversation. Now, I do think that spot is kind of vacant, right? It's really between Wemby, Shea. If you want to throw Giannis and Luka in there, fine. Jokic as well. Jokic is definitely in that convo. But he's in that convo. But they do coddle him. I'm not going to lie. Because it felt like a lot of the conversations about the Spurs losing really just went on De'Aaron Fox. Instead of Wemby going whole halves after having great first and second quarters, going damn near scoreless. I think like the second half of game 4, where after he said the "I'm in your head" shit, went 3 of 14. Come on, man. We got to stop that front running shit. If that was any other guy that was in the best player in the world conversation, we call them out about that shit. Like, him being young really ain't no excuse for playing that poorly, especially when you start off that great. But Joe's on some hating shit, and we about to see. He's on some hating shit.
Y'all not gonna get on TV and say the truth. Y'all gonna get on TV and say, "Oh no, it's cool to walk off." No, I didn't want to walk off. You mad? You emotional? You're 22.
I'll say this though: the walk-off shit without shaking hands, I really don't care about that. A lot of players have done that. Kobe has done that. LeBron has done that. Does it make it right? I guess no. I mean, it's bad sportsmanship, but it's just one of those things. I feel like unless you're a player like that didn't get your hand shaken, like if you're Jalen Brunson, like if Jalen Brunson came out and said this, then I'd understand. But nigga, us as fans, why do y'all care? Why do we care so much about some shit like that? We should not care enough about shit like that.
Got that. But when you look at his behavior in totality, when you look at the Nas Reed elbow, and not the elbow, because you could do that.
I could live with elbows, yeah.
But the push after the elbow, as a nigga that been in fights, that push, watch it again.
See, and I hate when we point out these incidents without context. That series against the Timberwolves, they were being super physical and aggressive with Wemby. Now, do I defend that elbow? No. And like Joe said, I can live with the elbow here and there. But in that series against the Timberwolves, they were being ultra physical with Wemby, throwing elbows, also pushing him, shoving him, all this stuff. They did that even when he faced the Trailblazers. The motherfucker's 7'5". Sometimes you got to get physical to bridge the gap of the advantage of the height that he has on you. But at the same time, like, I'm not going to defend the elbow because that was just a blatant, I'm trying to just get this nigga away from me, right? And he did it by any means. It's wrong. He shouldn't have done that. But at the same time, like, he did that in response to the physicality. It wasn't just the outright, I'm trying to hurt this guy. They got in his head. And he got frustrated. It was a frustration move. Plain and simple.
The elbow and the push was crazy. That game 5, whatever game it was, shitty pull with Jalen, where he got his landing space. Cool, that happens. But when he did it, he looked down.
Ain't no remorse in it.
Almost as if to make sure he was in that landing space.
And they're not going to do nothing.
And I know that to be true. And that's the other thing that pisses me off.
Me too.
See, you know that you got Adam Silver and the league and everybody on your side, and you now taking advantage of it. We rooted for that against SGA because he had his own flop narrative going.
Let me say something about that, right? When it comes to what he did, and I see someone in the comments said what he did to Brunson and Alvarado, all of that. That New York Knicks series, again, he was responding to a lot of the physicality the Knicks were throwing at him. Because he went through it not only in the second round against the Wolves, he went through it against the Thunder, and he went through it against the Knicks. And the stuff with Brunson where I'll admit that should have been a flagrant. I don't know how that wasn't a flagrant. But what he did against Brunson was tugging on his jersey. And he pushed him down to get him away from him. That wasn't like he just dry did that, like out of nowhere, without cause or without reason. He did that in response. A lot of these things are stuff in response. Now, I ain't gonna lie, some of it is dirty, what he's done. Some of it hasn't been some of it hasn't been a response to something. But I don't understand why people are just acting like the Knicks didn't do shit to deserve some of the things that Wemby was doing. And Wemby is a player that is very similar to Shaq in a sense that he's not going to get all these calls, right? He is 7'5". And a lot of times when you're bigger, LeBron goes through the same thing. When you're a bigger player that has a physical advantage, the refs clearly have the mindset of, look, bro, like a lot of these guys can't stop you. So I'm not going to give you every single call, because if I do that, every play, I got to call a foul. You have a physical advantage, so unless it's super blatant, I'm not going to give you every call. Shaq had one of the worst calls, like whistles, that we've ever seen. And Wemby is a very similar case. A lot of times he's getting fouled. And a lot of times these defensive players know that. So they try to get more aggressive, more physical. Brunson is tugging on his jersey. I seen, Sean, you said Brunson got his jersey tugged the whole series. He ain't do no shit like that. Nigga, I'm not talking about the whole series. I'm talking about that one play that this dude got face palmed to the floor by Wemby. You tug on my jersey, I'm going to throw you to the ground. And a lot of times with Wemby, he's responding to these niggas. And I like that mentality. When did we get to the point where these old heads now, like Joe fucking Budden, we got to the point that the old heads are upset because the European nigga doing it. That's really what this is about. That's really what this is about, because he's a French nigga. And Giannis went through the same thing. Jokic went through the same thing. Let me see a guy who's in the position to be the best player in the league or to face the league, whichever it is, and this guy ain't American. There's always a little extra oomph that people give to the criticism, critiquing things that not only do they do, but everybody does. Everybody does it. And you niggas are complaining. Everybody fucking does it. Now, am I acting like Wemby doesn't have plays that were dirty in this series? Like when Brunson shot the ball and Wemby got in his landing space? Yeah, you could argue that was a dirty play. I don't know if he looked at Brunson's feet. I got to go back and look at that play. But he's taller. Like if you're Victor Wembanyama, like Giannis does the same thing. Like a lot of these taller players, when they're contesting on jump shots, their feet sometimes can get in the landing zone because they're taller, they're bigger, they're lankier. I mean, he's contesting a 6'1" guard on a three-point shot. It blows my mind, like the lengths that motherfuckers are going to go to just because they want to get some shit off about a player that they don't like. We don't got to throw some xenophobia in there. Talking about him being French. What the fuck does him being French have to do with the fact that he playing the physical brand of basketball that you motherfuckers have been asking for years? Either y'all want that physical shit or you don't. Pick a fucking side. Pick a fucking side.
On, so it's like, ooh, this is dope. But now the Knicks did something that Knicks fans never thought they would do. They became likable, almost like America's team.
You want to know why they became likable? I'll tell you why they became likable. Because no one wants to fucking admit this, but NBA fans are fucking like fickle. Fickle as fuck. Like I'm a WWE fan, right? WWE fans are fickle. Wrestling fans are fickle. 1 minute you like a wrestler, then they get pushed as the top guy, you start hating them. Cody Rhodes, prime example, but I'll shift it to basketball. 3 weeks ago, a month ago, everybody loved this guy. And he was doing the same shit. He was doing the same shit. But now he's in the NBA Finals. Motherfuckers want to see the Knicks win. Motherfuckers are realizing in real time, goddamn, if Wemby wins, he's a threat to Michael Jordan. If Wemby wins, he's a threat to LeBron. And now the MJ hive and the LeBron hive, all their stands are coming together to hate on this motherfucker. And the Knicks fans are coming to join them too. And now it's all this wave of now because, yeah, you did this shit against the Thunder, but we hated SGA. We don't like the Thunder. SGA is always flopping, so we're going to support it. But now you're doing it against the Knicks. We don't like it because now you're a threat to LeBron, you're a threat to Michael, and the Knicks fans are saying we want to win a fucking championship. I want to almost even give the Knicks fans a pass because, I mean, they're fans of the team, whatever. They're rooting against Wemby. Wemby has had some shit about, you know, embracing being the villain in New York. That's fine. You want to hate on Wemby? Have at it, New York Knicks fans. But what we're not going to do is make this a French thing. What we're not going to do is make this a biracial thing. What we're not going to do is just hate on this nigga because he's a threat to your favorite player's legacy. And then ignore the fact that he still had a fucking great playoffs. This was still a W for Wemby. I mean, it's crazy to me how people are trying to twist this into him, this being a stain on his legacy. Nigga, he don't even got much of a legacy right now as it is, other than being one of the greatest young players of all time. I mean, let's even pull up some of these playoff numbers that Wemby had in this playoff run. Because it's crazy to me, the pretzels that motherfuckers are twisting themselves into. Wemby in these playoffs averaged 24 points a game, 11 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal, nearly 4 blocks throughout this entire playoffs, led everybody on 49% from the field, 34% from 3 on over 5 attempts, and 85% at the free throw line. This is a guy that every time he got off the court, they couldn't hold any kind of fucking momentum, any kind of fucking lead. They were terrible on both ends of the court. De'Aaron Fox stinking it up and still getting finals minutes at the end of games, getting end of the game closing lineup minutes over Dylan Harper, who was consistently outplaying him game after game after game. But nah, let's shit on the 22-year-old guy who it's his first time in the playoffs, and let's act like he's the best player to ever play and hold him to those standards. Like, no, nigga, he's not Michael Jordan. No, nigga, he's not LeBron. He ain't there yet. He ain't there yet. There are things about his game that he got to fix. I talked about it in my last video. He's got to fix the fact that he's just not that strong. You can't get pushed out the paint by Mikal fucking Bridges. You can't get bullied by motherfuckers like Jose Alvarado, who's less than half your size. You just can't. You got to develop a post game. You got to develop some kind of inside game. You got to develop a bag. Wemby's got to get better. I'm not denying that. But niggas are using the idea of Wemby needing to get better, him being physical in response to physicality being thrown towards him, and attaching it to the xenophobic views about French niggas. Attaching it towards their just undying love and support for Michael Jordan and LeBron James and their stan culture. You niggas are gross. You niggas are nasty. And LeBron fans have turned into what they've hated all these years. How many motherfuckers are LeBron fans right now that if I sit here and critique LeBron about 2007, how many of you niggas are going to sit there and say, bruh, he was young, the team wasn't that good, yada, yada, yada. I'm going to have all these excuses lined up. It amazes me that whenever you talk to Michael Jordan and LeBron fans, they can contextualize everything about why those guys lost or struggled at points in their career, especially LeBron fans, right? Because we got all that shit documented, unlike Michael Jordan, where you didn't have sports shows every day debating shit like we do today. But LeBron fans specifically, you niggas can provide context for why LeBron has 6 finals losses? Why LeBron lost to the Spurs in 2007? Why he lost to the Spurs in 2014? Why he lost to the Warriors in 2015? Y'all can contextualize all that shit. But now, when Wemby loses his first finals at 22, just like LeBron did against the fucking Spurs, you niggas can't contextualize shit. You can't put into context that they're so terrible without him on the court. You ignore the fact that he was the best defender by a mile throughout this entire playoffs and still had a great playoff run. You ignore the fact that he could shut down a half-court offense by himself. You just completely ignore the defensive side of the ball. And you ignore the fact that, yes, he has holes in his offensive game, but he's young. This whole team got holes. They weren't even supposed to be here. That's the thing about the Spurs, that if you really take a step back, nigga, the league is still fucked by these niggas. They're still fucked. Dylan Harper's a rookie. Stephon Castle's in his 2nd season. Wemby is in his 3rd year. And they're in the NBA Finals. De'Aaron Fox is going to go. And at some point, Dylan Harper is going to get better. Wemby's only about 60 to 70% of the player that he's going to be. Castle's going to get better also. Niggas killed Mitch Johnson, and trust me, you can definitely kill him for how much he trusted and leaned on De'Aaron Fox and just straight up ignored Dylan Harper. I mean, Stephon Castle talked about that in the post-game presser when he was like, bro, Dylan Harper was pissed about his minutes. But at the end of the day, This is his first full season as a head coach. And I'm sure at the beginning of the year, this nigga wasn't going to be thinking that he was going to be coaching in June. He's going to get better. I don't understand this. I don't understand how people, they're so fucking fickle. And it just seems like it's the nature of the league. You got to turn the most beloved into the most hated at some point. Whether it's because you want to protect all the guys at the top, or it's because you just want to find a new story and you niggas are indecisive. Niggas acting like some bitches. It's just that simple. But, man, I don't even know what to say. Sometimes I get so annoyed with some shit. You niggas don't actually know how to pick a fucking side. You niggas don't know how to hold motherfuckers accountable at all. Thank you, Lil Trey. I even found this shit. This fucking nasty ass take. Someone said left is Steph in his first finals run, right as Brunson this year. Nigga, Steph in his playoffs was way better than fucking Jalen Brunson. They just dry compare points, assists, and field goal percentage. Nigga, if you go to Steph Curry, Steph in his first playoff run, this motherfucker averaged 28, 6, and 5 with 2 steals on 42% from 3 on 11 attempts a game, by the way. And 84% at the free throw line. Like, what the fuck are we doing here? I'm not even going to spend time talking about that idiotic ass post. That shit was fucking stupid. Get the fuck out of here. But that wraps up this stream. I wasn't going to stream for too long. I got some clips I need to make, some videos I need to make for the second channel. I appreciate all you guys for showing up, pulling up, showing y'all support. Y'all stay safe and have a great day. And to all the Knicks fans, I'm sorry. I apologize. I was wrong. All right. You got me. You got me red-handed, y'all.